diagnosis, because like clearing cache, getting rid of everything, trying new browsers, everything like that, when in fact I do believe the internet's gone down. So hence wasn't able to get on. Never mind.
C'est la vie.
C'est la vie. Anyway, listen, welcome everybody. It is Brainfood Bake Fresh. We're 15 minutes behind schedule due to an unexpected outage. I hope that's not too disappointing for everyone. But this is the show where we're going to review the newsletter from yesterday. So we sent out issue 316 on Sunday, and I thought it was a really interesting issue, and I'm looking forward to discussing it with you and with Adam Gordon, of course. So Adam, good to see you as ever. Hope you're well. By the way, I saw a LinkedIn update from you today about some sort of job change. Is that significant in any way?
No, I was just cleaning up. I was just tidying up my LinkedIn, and unfortunately, I forgot to tick the button which says "Do not send this out as an alert." So I've been getting messages from people going, "Congrats on the promotion! Congrats!" No, I've deleted the post now, but I don't know if that deletes the alert. But anyway,
it's annoying. It's worth thinking about, isn't it? Because you think you're doing a bit of tidy up and admin, but in fact you're triggering like massive notifications for you. It's a big network. You must have 10,000 people, 15,000 people connected to you.
But 25,000, and I've got absolutely, no. I had no news whatsoever. So
anyway, 20,000 notifications have gone out, and you're going to be handling those congrats for a while, I should imagine.
Hopefully, because I've deleted the post, people will stop seeing it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know how long does it hang around? Does it disappear from people's feeds, or does it appear? If it has appeared, does it stay there? So we don't actually know.
Exactly.
Do we?
No.
Anyway,
we will know, because I'll be able to tell you, because I had loads of likes and messages and stuff, and I deleted it about 45 minutes ago. So if they all stop, then we know that stops it appearing.
Stops the propagation, indeed.
Yes.
So all right, well listen, let's get on with it. Let's talk about what happened yesterday. I mean, what did you read, Adam? What was interesting for you, man?
So let's start with Deloitte's Gen Z and Millennial 2022 survey.
Mm-hmm.
Not good reading, to be honest. Like, I mean, I in some ways I'd rather be younger, but in other ways I'm all right with having grown up, in the 90s and 2000s. So the number one priority, or the number one challenge for Gen Z and millennials, is struggling with the cost of living and financial concerns. With 29% of Gen Z listing that as their top priority, and 36%, so quite a lot more, of millennials listing that as their top priority. So that was very sad to read, but not unexpected. The Great Resignation is also prompting those people, as it is with, I think, people in every generation, to reassess like how they're working. Sustainability and environmental action is a top priority when considering employers, which is not surprising. We've got a ever-growing group of people who are interested in those things, and I think people of our generation and the generation before probably shafted the planet a little bit too much, and that's why. And workplace mental health is another big priority for millennials and Gen Z. So it would be great if it was like all optimistic things rather than things that we need to fix because they're not good enough. But that's the world that we've built so far.
Yeah, I think the concern for job security, income security is on everyone's mind. So Gen Z for sure. But I think that's also escalated as the top priority. I think, did I see it from LinkedIn recently that had similar, basically 12 months or so ago, everyone was talking about, yes, we need this, that, and the other. It was pretty, like employees were pretty aggressive, if you like, in terms of asserting demands. Now it's like, look, we just need to have income security. We're worried about the cost of living. The compensation requirements have to reflect that. And everyone's feeling the squeeze. I mean, you just need to see your gas bill coming in, and you recognize it. Or if you go have a coffee, I don't know if you went out there and like just had a basic, I had a coffee and a cake the other day. It cost me £9, and it was like, that's the new normal, mate. You know what I mean? Suddenly, all of the stuff that you thought you had, like even the people that might have felt reasonably well off, now understand that actually the purchasing power of those numbers that you had, of that £1 that you had in your pocket, has gone down significantly. So you need more of those pounds if that's the situation. So
you're right. You can connect that Deloitte survey directly with the global talent trends from LinkedIn. And I mean, again, pretty grim reading. So it said workers are bracing themselves for economic downturn. And unfortunately, the UK was top of that list, more so than anybody else.
Is anybody surprised?
No, I mean, the words that it uses, not so bracing for economic downturn is like the headline, but what the data is actually about is, I think the question something along the lines of, are you positive about the chances of increasing your economic, prosperity? And the UK, I can't remember what the stat was, but it was like minus 14% or something like that. It was the absolute worst. So
I think that is a absolute verdict on our political environment, a completely dysfunctional political environment.
Correct.
I mean, you can't look at that and then think. I was saying to a few other people that in business, it's like, how can you even think about investing in your company when you don't know what the tax situation is? IR35 is a classic example relevant to recruiting. Different in the space of 3 weeks, it was 3 different positions. So it's like, well, if I'm running a business, what am I supposed to do? You actually can't do anything. You have to wait until something is stable and it looks like this is the plan and this is what's going to happen. We still don't know, by the way. So everyone's dry powder. So yeah, obviously, the longer we are in this ambiguous situation, the more stressed we're going to be. So yeah, crazy.
The other ones that the other kind of headlines, if you like, from that LinkedIn trends content was that the number of jobs available is gone down. So I don't think we'd be surprised by that either. So it's I think they described it as leveling off. So from like big highs of like jobs being needed to be filled, and it's come down quite a lot. India was down top with a very high percentage, like down 40% or something like that. The UK was down 11%. USA was down 13%. So again, these things are of course all interlinked.
Yep.
Comp and bends. I have not seen this I can't remember the last time I saw compensation and benefits being listed as the top priority for job seekers. I don't remember that being the case, but that's what it says in this LinkedIn Trends report. And then the desire for remote working is from employees continues to go up, as from employers it continues to go down, and this mismatch is widening.
Yep, that's going to be an interesting challenge. There's going to be a very interesting challenge because it's basically combat between sort of the employers, what the employers want. Maybe they're seeing here's an opportunity to pull people back from this actually very inefficient way of running a business. If you're running a hybrid work environment, which most of us are, that's actually very inefficient in terms of operating costs, fixed costs, management overhead. All of that is like very, very expensive. So I can imagine managers starting to say, right, come back to the office and crack that one out, crack that one through, should I say. I beg your pardon. And basically the employees are saying no. And I can understand the employee side very well, because you've also got to think about commuting costs and stuff like this. You know, if you're going to think about a new job, you're not sure about cost of living. Obviously, you want an upgrade in terms of salary, but if it's just a small upgrade, you've got to think, hang on, I was doing this job at slightly less, but I wasn't commuting in every day. That's, you know, 2-3 grand a year for sure, minimum. Not including, you know, lunch, breakfast and lunch. Typically, you'll spend out of the office. So that's now maybe 20 quid. So yeah, it's like these things are going to impact people's thought process. It's going to be it's you know, it's going to be tough to see an out of this. This is going to be a real difficult period.
I don't think there's any like magic buttons or levers that like Liz Truss and her sidekick Kwarteng thought that they could just press a couple of buttons and pull a couple of levers, and all of a sudden we've got economic growth and, you know, everyone's prosperous. There isn't going to be such a thing. We're going to have to write this out, and it's going to take a couple of years.
Yeah, I think we're out of bullets. I do think we're out of options.
I agree.
Like we're at the car's crashed, right? The car has crashed. We've just got to figure out how to best extricate ourselves from the wreckage. That's how I see it right now.
But I don't think this is the biggest crash that, you know, could be ahead of us. I mean, there's bigger crashes that could be ahead of us when you look at government debt, and you look at, you know, the aging workforce, and you look at all sort, you know, like pensions and all sort. There's bigger problems than this even. So, you know.
So what you're saying is we've not only crashed a car, but we'll crash off a cliff, and we're slowly going to fall off the cliff. Maybe
we've crashed it, hit a tree, and so the car's broken. Like the car's not working, but it's also teetering over the edge of that cliff.
Oh my god, it is. And I know it's doom and gloom, folks. And I know everyone's feeling a little bit under the pressure, but you got to have a little bit of gallows humor about it. And the reality of it is, I think there'll be opportunity in and amongst the mess, but it won't be like easy street. You know, it won't a mediocre idea, a mediocre business that's not going to succeed in the way maybe it has over the past 20 years, 10, 15 years for sure. Lots of people have done really more than decently on, you know, not great ideas. I don't think that's happening anymore. It's going to really sharpen the edges of what needs to be done. And from a recruiter point of view, as recruiters, typically that we will always have a way to find sort of seams in the marketplace that are still recruiting almost as a result of a recessionary scenario.
Yes.
You know, there'll be recession-based recruiting requirements because, you know, people want to automate more. That requires certain types of skills in order to get there. You know, people might want to think about, you know, moving labor around in a different way, reorganization, all that type of stuff that requires some sort of recruitment still. So I think that that there'll always be work there for us, but perhaps it's going to be of a different sort, and we've just got to be agile with a small a in the dictionary definition of the term. You know, how to spot the opportunity and jump to it.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think you said like there's opportunity in amongst the chaos and whatever. I can't remember the words you said, but like when there are downturns, it does create opportunity. When there's chaos, it creates opportunity. But then I wonder if I'm like from a position of privilege, that is something that's much, much more accessible. So like when you think about the hierarchy of needs, I've got all the basics covered, and I don't need to concern myself about that. So is it much easier for me to go and like take advantage, spend the time looking for the opportunities and then going and doing something to take advantage of them? Yes, it is. So
yeah,
it's not a wholesale solution.
No, and you're absolutely right. The people that win in a situation like this are the ones that have already had some success, and as you say, don't have the day-to-day pressure of paying the bills. Like we know that no one enjoys an increase of gas bills or whatever. No one enjoys seeing that, but it's not going to really materially derail your plans in any way. You know, you can ride that out. That's fine. Whereas other people, that's a showstopper. It's like, the current way in which they're operating, that is going to be not tenable. There's another post I was going to put in. It's going to go in a week's source time. In the US, is the same story. People are on the breadline, and their margins are so thin that these inflationary fluctuations actually can stop them operating, like as a household unit. Like they can't find a way out of this. And I just wonder that, yeah, there's going to be some really tough times. This is where state intervention is absolutely required. And yeah, it's going to be quite ugly. I'm afraid to say.
I think we can now, with we have enough years of looking at governments making decisions, and there's enough clear evidence in front of our eyes to show that the decisions that many of them have made have been entirely self-serving and have not been medium term, considered with the medium term in mind at all. We are where we are because of government decisions. The US has made many bad ones. The UK has made many bad ones, and lots of countries have.
What's interesting, mate, is that some of these decisions we're talking about, it's very, very similar to climate change in the way that the economic system is a very complicated multi-actor system that takes decades for decisions to start percolating through and manifesting themselves in certain situations.
Yeah.
And we're kind of reaping what we're sowing from at least 20 years of debt-based growth, QE.
Yeah.
We didn't deal with in great financial crisis. We just printed like trillions, right? Yeah. And just boosted into the economy. We printed trillions again on furlough. We need to do that. Now we're printing trillions again in terms of sort of suppressing gas prices. Obviously, you layer on top global politics, geopolitics, all that kind of stuff as well. Yeah,
there's a lot of conditions. There's a lot of conditions that are coming together, which are slightly unnerving. I was watching a program about Benito Mussolini at the weekend, and they've got a new. I don't know if she's called prime minister or president or what, but they have a new premier. Yeah, who Benito would probably have approved of very considerably.
Well, the harsh reality of it is, I mean, you look at the local politics of it, is that whenever you have like economically tough times, the right wing typically rise up because people, reach for an option, they reach for an answer or a solution.
Populism and that thrives in this condition.
Correct. And I can understand it because you're reaching for some sort of change, doesn't matter what it is. We've seen right wingers sort of emerge in political power in a number of countries in Europe. Sweden went right wing. Italy obviously gone right wing. We already have right wing in our country. Hungary, Poland, all of them. So we're at the point where we're looking at sort of an economically sort of stress time. Politically go right wing, nationalistic, anti-immigrants. It's going to be
countries invading others.
Well, maybe this is what it looks like. 1930s rewind.
I really hope not. But there's a lot of conditions. There's a lot of parallels.
There is, and you know what? It's beyond the course of the conversation for us to solve it, but it's important we talk about it because we on two levels. Firstly, at a rhetorical level, I think we do need to articulate this because if we're not talking about it, then I think that increases the likelihood of us just somehow ending up in a place. It needs to be debated. It needs to be articulated. And on the second side, for us small folk, so to speak, it kind of makes sense to be aware of these trends so that you could figure out what best options they are. I mean, you got to think what are your best options. So yeah, I hope everyone's enjoying this quite right, Adam. It's a fun show.
So chunking it down a couple of levels. One other thing that I forgot to mention in LinkedIn's talent trends was that internal mobility is helping employers to increase retention. That's a slightly obvious kind of statement. But the bit that I thought was really interesting was the top proponents of this are in financial services. They're benefiting the most, banks. And so, good on them. Well done, because there's not an awful lot of things in talent acquisition that they can't do because they're so governed. So, could you imagine them using duck soup or even any of those? Like, there's a whole load of different technologies and processes and things that they just can't do because it's heavily regulated. So it's great to hear that one thing they are doing is really over-indexing on internal mobility. So go work for a bank might be, well, maybe not actually, it depends, but at least they're doing that good.
It starts. I mean, one of the things that these big changes are gonna have an influence on is the structure of work, structure of businesses. So it is interesting from our narrow focus. If we're looking at company formation, company philosophies, how you interact with labor, all of that is a big part of how this future is going to look like. So yeah, we've got work to do.
I've got one more, which is like a kind of pulse report type thing, and then maybe we could talk about a couple of slightly more specific things. So Workable's hiring pulse report was again useful, like snackable content. It's quite straightforward. Time to fill is down after a big jump over the summer. May, June, July, it was much harder. And it is down again. Job openings remain high in companies of like 200 people plus, but not so much in the companies of 51 to 200. I think they were down quite a lot. I was surprised to see job openings remained high within those larger companies. But if we connect that to the Pragmatic Engineer newsletter, he always shows us the big tech companies, what have they done over an aggregate, and between Microsoft, Google, and Meta, they've been up 93,000 jobs in the last 12 months between those three companies. So while there has been like 90,000 from layoffs.fyi, they show 90,000 tech jobs have gone so far this year. Those big three, it doesn't include Amazon in that, but those big three have actually an aggregate have added 93,000 new jobs between Q3 21 to Q3 22, I think was the comparison. So I'm sorry, I've just meshed a couple of different pieces of Brainfood there.
No, that's important. I mean, basically, I think the message is that these big tech companies do have an outsized impact because of the massive volumes of hiring they typically do within tech. However, that also means if they're going on hiring freeze, that has a huge effect also. And another big sort of bit of news this week is obviously the quarterly earnings reports from these big tech companies, Amazon, Apple, Alphabet, Meta, Microsoft, all of them reported like less than they expected, and that led to stock price crashes and all the rest of it. And that also led to them announcing hiring slowdown, hiring freeze. So the big tech winter is definitely happening there. What that means for smaller tech, it should mean there's more people around because these big tech companies aren't absorbing them all. However, we see a lot of withdrawal of VC money as well. So, it's just basically harder than it was 12, 18 months or so ago, as crazy as that may sound.
All I can assume about the 93,000 increase in jobs at Google, Microsoft, and Meta is that is less than had been forecast, because it's still a vast number of increased jobs. So presumably the 93,000 was they were expecting to hire between them 130,000 new jobs or something like that. I mean, they're still going up considerably, but you're right. By the way, the hidden detail in the economics around jobs is definitely the concept of hiring freezes. We often talk about like this company's hiring more people, this company's hiring less people. than they were, or they're making redundancies, but those hiring freezes make a big impact in terms of the net number of employed.
Even hiring slowdown. If you've gone from hiring 5,000 to hiring 2,000, there's 3,000 jobs that are not being hired. So that is a big number, and that's what we're going to see. So tech winter is here. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the tech recruitment labor market next 12 months, I think.
Yeah, just one other point from Workable's post was the number of applicants has been going up, which for each post, which is presumably in direct relation to the number of actual job posts going down. So what that's going to mean is probably less suitable people filling jobs because there's more people wanting the jobs, but there's less jobs available. And no, that's not true. What have I just said? That's not actually correct.
I think
that's the first time I've gone back on myself on Brainfood, I think, ever.
Yeah, well, that's good that you're able to do that. A lot of people just plow on through, But I think that just means that as we expect, there's more involuntary people on the market. Involuntary job seekers. They're applying more because they can start seeing, oh crap, and I now need a job. Cost of living's gone up. I can't be sort of on my, relax about it. And that is probably the most significant sort of number in that report. That the applicant per vacancy number, and that's going up. So yeah.
So I've got two more, slightly more lighthearted. Well, yeah, slightly more lighthearted ones from BoolianStrings.com. I'm going to say proof that, but it's like the latest in like 10 years worth of proof that X-ray searching is better than searching. X-ray searching LinkedIn is better than searching within LinkedIn. And what Irene has done is listed all of the different things you might want to search for, like from simple ones like name, job title, current employer, previous employer, skills. And what she's basically proven is that if you buy LinkedIn Recruiter, you get, let's say, 25 different things. If you just do it for free using your X-ray search skills, you get 35, 55, whatever it is. You can get people's blood groups and you can get their, favorite rugby teams and whatever that you can't get from LinkedIn Recruiter. It's the irony of a lot of membership sites where, if you're inside and you're logged in and they recognize you're a member, they will, deliberately restrict the visibility of aspects of the platform, whereas it's all indexed within Google. So, you just need to know exactly how to use the right type of X-ray operators, and you've got a lot more information.
That is the theory, and it's interesting. Firstly, I think LinkedIn search is broken. I've tried to search on LinkedIn. It's like a painful experience, and B, it's so consistent. Like you type something in, and you generate results of individuals or companies where that phrase doesn't exist. It's literally just thrown in there. And you wonder why that is. And I think LinkedIn's one of those that gets away with it because the results are voluminous enough that there will be some relevance in whatever page that they'll show you. There'll be 2 or 3 results that I'll think, okay, that looks all right. But it is by no means a forensically like a comprehensive trawl of what's out there. You're missing a ton because they've given you just enough to say that's a good search. Now, I think Google is in the same boat. Google is a horrendous search experience today. I don't know whether you've noticed this, Adam, but using Google to discover things is like painful. It's the first page is like ads. It's all ads. You got to scroll down immediately as soon as you type something in. Yeah. Then the relevancy of it is like, you know what? It's not. It's trying on one hand to accurately understand, so literally understand what I've typed in, but on the other hand, it's trying to understand what I mean. And it's mixing and matching those things together. Irina, by the way, is coming in to do a show on this because she has not accused, it's too harsh a word. Irina's not a type of person, but she's kind of exposed Google in the same forensic way to say, I reckon Boolean search doesn't work on Google anymore. And it turned out her commentary on her Boolean strings post was actually responded to by product people from Google, who, not as a criticism, but they were very interested in her findings because she's an outside expert on how search works, and they're inside product people, so they rarely see someone with her level of expertise actually intelligently commentating on how search works. So on I think it's 2 weeks time, Irina's going to come on to Brainfood Live and she's going to do a presentation on it. You'd pay money for that. I'm sure you would absolutely pay money to pay attention to it. She can come on, do it for free. It's going to be amazing. But it probably is not great news. She's probably going to tell us, you know what, half of these things don't work anymore, or if you're going to try it.
Why would they do that? Why would they make the search experience worse? I mean, that's their entire business, is like making your life easier.
It's not their intent. I think what's happened with Google search, number one, is ads, that they just decide to suck on the ad money a little bit too much, and therefore it makes sense for them to put more and more ads in.
What's the problem with that? The problem with that is you just got to scroll down a bit further.
So there's a UX issue of scrolling down, right? You can get away with this. But the second issue is that SEO is a problem. Like, people have figured out on the other side how to get page ranked. There's entire businesses and industries built on this. And so there's a lot of content that is basically designed to feature highly on the search result, but is not what you might be looking for as an individual. And thirdly, I think they're also moving towards, they're aware of the threat of TikTok. So TikTok, Gen Z are using TikTok now to do a search on stuff where you would imagine they might do on Google. Now, why is that? Well, firstly, it's on a phone, right? When's the last time you used Google on a phone? You never do. It's always on desktop. Phone is by far more used and more intimate in terms of how you use it. And secondly, it's more real to what the person is actually looking for. So in other words, what kind of searches are common? Where is it good to eat around here, right? You type that into Google and you'll generate a list of sites that have just been juiced because people have understood that they need to get good ratings here, this, that, and the other, and it's all that kind of stuff. Whereas on TikTok, it's still pretty much user-generated results. It'll be some other TikToker saying, yeah, this place is cool. So it's much more delivered via other users. The content and recommendations delivered by other users. Whereas on Google, it's pretty much gained by people who understand how to rank highly. It's gained by ads, people paying money to feature highly, and they're in trouble long term with this, which is why they're shifting. They're shifting.
I've noticed the ads. I've noticed the larger volume of ads and having to scroll through. But at the same time, I'm also finding the ad placement often quite useful. It is what I'm looking for. But I am not noticing any deterioration in the search results. But now that you've mentioned this to me, I will look out for it. And I do use Boolean. I use Boolean search all the time on Google when I'm looking for something, just to try and improve my search experience. And I felt like it's working quite well. But I'll keep an eye on this one.
Yeah, and the show will tell us a lot more because Irina's gone through it from a real forensic point of view. So it should be a thing that it'll be useful for us to all review. Anyway, give us one more, mate.
All right. So we've talked about it a couple of times, the concept of AI doing our jobs, and including in the area of creativity, including creating content. And so one guy, he does admit that his test could be considered flawed in a couple of different ways, but he paid some individuals that he got off Fiverr to design some things based on his brief. He put the same brief into DALL-E, which is presumably a play on Salvador Dali. And,
it is,
which turns your written brief into a visual representation, and the individuals produced much better results. So, I don't know if DALL-E's at MVP stage or what DALL-E's claiming to be able to do at this point, but
the problem you have with DALL-E is it's designed to be surrealist as well. So the brief itself was like, I want a visualization of this academic data. It's a little bit sort of gamed in that respect, but we're not far away. We're not far away from having sort of the AI produce better output than a human being on creative work. And I don't know whether you saw yesterday, I posted on, I think, Instagram and Facebook, I think, a bunch of avatars that I basically trained this avatar with pictures of me, right? For it to then produce AI generated avatars of me again. And the response I've been getting from people who've seen that has just been a jaw drop. Everyone's been saying amazing, they look incredible quality, and just really beautifully rendered in different poses, different guises, and all the rest of it. Anyway, what was really interesting is that the guy who built this website just tweeted out something today, a guy called Peter Levels, and it turned out that there was a person already on Fiverr advertising their ability to generate AI generated avatars if they give him the commission, and he would be using his AI tool in order to do that, but not telling the customer. So this is a complete reversal of what we're talking about, where AI generated tool. So I can just take this tool, no one knows about it, but then I can advertise myself on Fiverr as a person that can generate some amazing art for you, and charge massive amount more. I paid $30, I think, to produce something like 20 images, which I thought, all right, screw it. A friend of mine did it, and I liked her results. I thought, I'll take that risk. Definitely worth it. Do it again. But this Fiverr advert's gone for $200 for 20. So there's already people like arbitraging this, picking up early, or this thing's on Product Hunt. It seems to work. I will then do the work for you. Boom. Like a script writer or a show note writer or something like that. You can simply just put it through an AI and here you go, here's your script, and then charge back again. So there's lots of that activity going on. It pays to be smart about where AI is, so that if you do go on a platform and get a human worker, like, no, it's a human worker and not actually someone who's using a tool that you could have used.
Yeah, I mean, in that context, the person's just providing a done-for-you service. They're providing a management service, aren't they?
They're lying about it, though. I mean, it's not like it's there. Like, I think, yes, so I have no problem with the outsource per se. But if they're disguising it, then it is
true.
It's fraudulent.
If
they're passing it off as their work where it isn't. So yeah.
If they just said, I use various tools and techniques to be able to generate some amazing things for you, just even the wording slightly changed, then I wouldn't have any problem with that.
It may not be illegal either. I mean, what's going to happen is there'll be an entirely new industry set up. Like right now, I could say, hey, I could sell copywriting services to students, right? And I'll just use Jasper AI to produce all the copy. Boom, Bob's your uncle, makes money off that.
What's the difference between that and like getting a taxi? You're paying somebody to drive a car that you could do yourself. Yep.
I get it.
The person's got access to this, presumably paid access to this AI generator.
I think there's a transparency issue. But you're right. It's fundamentally capitalism. I mean, if you want to roll it back to get it down to what capitalism is that someone has more information about how the thing is produced, and is producing it and marking it up. We're wearing some equipment here. This costs 150 quid, something like that. I don't know how much these headphones cost, something. But if I knew how to make them, it's probably worth 30 quid, right?
It's the added value in capitalism.
That is capitalism, mate. So anyway, capitalism is now integrating AI, and human beings are grifting on top of that. So it's worth thinking about
cottage industry. happened. LinkedIn. I remember meeting some very early, like senior people in LinkedIn a long time ago, and they said it's just amazing to watch this cottage industry building up around LinkedIn, of people that are building businesses, doing things that are using LinkedIn as the sort of primary produce.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's crazy. And to be honest, I've done the same, right? I mean,
So
a
have I.
great deal of Brainfood is hopping on top of these platforms. So yeah, here we go. We're all in the mixer. Anyway, that's about it, I think. So thanks for hanging around. Sorry for the delay. I know everyone's like into the middle of lunch already. So thanks for watching Brainfood Baked Fresh. We'll be back next week and doing another review. Before that, we'll be on Brainfood Live this Friday. We will be talking about employer branding in a recession economy. So sorry again about banging on about the state of the economy. However, we're going to now put a lens on EB on it, meaning like, how do you do EB when the economy is looking like this? What do you do if you're cutting back in one area but still recruiting on another? What is the employer message? Do you have to change the tonality? Are certain things that you thought were a good idea 6 months ago are still a good idea? Like, what is your content mix looking like? Do you have to be sensitive as to what's happening in the market, or do you ignore it? Do you just say, hey, we're this? So we're going to talk about all of that. We've got some amazing guests. Claire Bush from Adway is going to join us. Susan Strader-Lamott from Exacio is going to join us, and also Paul Bangu, EB manager, global EB manager at BT, is going to join us. So it's going to be a great show. Make sure you follow the channel to be notified on that and register for the show on Friday. All right, that's about it. Thanks for watching.
Peace.